The Citizens Advisory Committee was given a specific mission, and that was to provide input to both the City Council and the developer on a comprehensive master plan for the shoreline area. And in that case, we wanted them to be aware that the intention was to ensure that the whatever was developed there was complementary and would be used by the citizens of San Leandro, that any amenities would connect and work synergistically with what's currently there. So the golf course is a perfect example of an amenities that's there. It's a championship golf course. That golf course could be having more tournaments if we had a larger hotel and facilities, banquet-type facilities. We wanted to be sure that there was recognition of the shoreline area as a regional draw, and that logical phasing of development was addressed. Again, that little or no city investment was needed, and that the end result would be a self-supporting shoreline. We went through a process of educating the Citizens Advisory Committee similar to the City Council. Won't go into that anymore. And then we went through the process of creating a shared vision. And in this case, because we had a 33-member committee, what we did is they broke into 3 different groups and spent a couple months talking about what was important, what they wanted to see there, where it could be placed, and all the groups generally ended up with a hotel conference center with banquet facilities, new full-service restaurants, small restaurants, cafe and coffee shop, mixed-use retail sales and services, open spaces and plaza for public events, professional offices, multifamily residential, museum or interpretive center, public space for recreation, and boat kayak rentals. During that process, there were 2 other town hall meetings held in May of 2009. These meetings were held prior to the groups coming up with their plans, which are actually there along the bottom. And the idea was for citizens to come and share their vision and perspective with the developer and the Citizens Advisory Committee so that they could hear directly from the community what people wanted. And the 3 plans that are up there, they're group 1, 2, and 3. And, you know, they all had interesting ideas that were incorporated into the plans. For example, group 1 there on the bottom, as you drive in on Marina Boulevard on the left there, that was all housing, multifamily housing that was placed there. Group 2 had a really fascinating idea of using some bridging and potentially an island in the boat harbor to kind of reduce the size and make it more easily accessible via pedestrians. And group 3 had restaurants out at each of the points for viewing. As a result of the plans that the groups presented to the developer came up with 3 discussion plans. This discussion plan here is discussion plan 2. Discussion plan 1, I think, was the less dense development, and discussion plan 3 had significantly more development. But discussion plan 2 incorporated, like I said, many ideas from the groups, had office, had split the basin into kind of more manageable pieces to walk through. It had office, residential, it had a hotel conference center, and additional facilities such as boat rentals, etc. And we took that discussion plan and we said, well, let's take that now and let's see, really, are there any fatal flaws, or where are we going to go for that? And we really had 3 agencies and 3 projects, ideas that we wanted to test. First, we wanted to find out about traffic. With the additional density that was going to be built or would be built there, would our roads and intersections be able to handle that additional traffic? And our engineering department completed the traffic impact analysis and concluded that there were no fatal flaws, that actually roadways were capable of handling the additional vehicles, that there were multiple intersections that did require mitigation, and that there would be significant traffic impact fees that they would need to pay, as any development needs to We also met with BCDC, the Bay Conservation Development Commission, and these are the most rigorous regulators of the shoreline. We wanted to talk to them about where the buildings were placed. The BCDC has jurisdiction within 100 feet of the shoreline as well as in the bay. They had provided us a slightly different direction than what they told us when we first met with them in terms of coverage, because one of the reasons why the pylons and the deck from the old Blue Dolphin site remain out there is because we've been told that we could get credit for coverage from that as well as from some of the docks. And they indicated that, well, maybe they wouldn't give us equal credit for coverage. And that's an issue if you want to place restaurants and stuff out over the water, as well as some walking paths. They also were very clear that there could be no office or hotel uses over the bay, only public uses such as restaurants or walking paths. We also learned that they had no experience redeveloping a boat harbor basin, and for us this was significant because there are two former marinas that have closed, and they've basically just kind of gone back to their natural form. Well, because the San Leandro Marina was created, that elbow out there was all man-made, going back to its natural form actually isn't really a possibility because we'd have to remove all that material and recreate the shoreline as is. So in our circumstance, we really needed to think about something different. We couldn't just abandon a boat harbor. We really needed to redevelop it. We really needed to do something. And the other thing, and this has been a big issue right now in the Bay Area, is that there seems to be general consensus that development should assume a 16-inch sea level rise by 2050, and that any development needs to have a plan that would address a 55-inch sea level rise by 2100. Lastly, we met with American Golf Course. The American Golf Corporation manages our golf course for us. It's a public-private partnership. And we talked to them about two things. One is, what are your plans for a banquet facility? Because we'd spoken with them in the past, and originally they were planning on putting in a banquet facility. And they said, of course we'd love a banquet facility, but we can't financially justify it because the golf industry right now really isn't in growth mode. We also spoke to them a lot about the Monarch Bay 9-hole golf course and its relevance to its business. And we learned a couple things. One is that 40% of the play occurs on the Monarch Bay golf course, but it's only responsible for 10% of the revenue. We also learned that it's important that they maintain an executive golf course because offering the full service golf experience is what's going to help keep them competitive. But their golf course is on significantly more acreage than is necessary, and we asked them if they would be amenable to reconfiguring the golf course to allow some residential in the area, and they said yes, that would work for them. So what we came up with as a result of those conversations was Discussion Plan 6, and this is the one that we've kind of been talking about lately. As you can see, there's no development, there's no building on over the water. It includes a restaurant, conference center, office, which is the light green up there. The restaurant, conference center, hotel is purple. Multifamily along Marina Boulevard. Library and community center in the middle of Monarch Bay Drive. Additional residential in the middle of the golf course. Bocce ball courts, a public amphitheater, a couple restaurants. The middle of that says harbor configuration / basin to be determined, and that's just kind of whited out because that is the question that remains, and that's where we are in the development process, that really the developer can't go forward anymore until he has an idea of what's going to happen there. So that's where we are tonight. We're here to talk about what our options are for the boat harbor basin. And I think I have one more quick slide. Community outreach. We had a council work session earlier to extend the ENRA with Cow Coast and enter into this agreement for this study, and then we have our town hall meetings now. Oh, actually, I do have one more slide that I wanted to go over. I wanted to give you all an idea of kind of what this process is. So here we are in November 2010. The Boat Harbor Basin alternative study should be due in late January or February 2011. The City Council then will be asked to provide direction regarding the Boat Harbor Basin, which hopefully they'll do in spring. And then the developer can start refining the site plan designs. We'll have additional town hall meetings, probably, hopefully next time, same time next year, to talk about the conceptual master plan, and then that will go to the Citizens Advisory Committee as well as the council in fall of 2011. And then there's about a 3-year period to obtain financing, permits, do the zoning and general plan amendments and the EIR, with the project starting construction in 2015. So this is something that's been going on for 5 years, that we probably still have another 3 to 5 years to go. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael Calden, our Public Works Director, who's going to give us, provide us information on the harbor and dredging and the shoreline enterprise fund.